And that's the one that lays the eggs on your tomatoes. It has that gigantic, the tomatoes like 4 or 5 inches long.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it turns into. So they're out and about. You should be checking your tomatoes to make sure you don't bring worms eating all the foliage. The foliage disappearing, that is what it is. And it's about time for them to show up. So very easy to solve. See, there's an organic spray that takes them right out, but just if you see them around, it's something to watch. So be aware. So is it grandkids or
You're live, by the way.
You don't want your cell phone going off while the class is going. Trust me, you don't want to do that.
You're live.
Oh, we are. Oh, welcome. So, hey, welcome tuned into here at Wonders Garden Center. Garden class, Saturdays, 9:30s. Today's garden class is the best evergreens that you grow up here. And then we have to cover some of the pests. We got to cover bark beetles. We got to cover pinyon pine scale. We're not going to get all of them, but we can touch on this whole class on nothing but bugs. This is mainly about the plants. Then there's some cleanups, keeping them healthy, bringing the color out, keeping them bright. We'll cover some of that. We're going to do all that in about 50 minutes or so, and I'll have time for Q&A at the end. Because usually there's a lot of questions. And this is a big class. So I'm glad that you're tuned in. Our VIP customers are virtual in person. We like them here at the Garden Center. Come down and visit us. So you can ask questions. This is live. Just type it on the side. I do have three or four handouts. One is on the best evergreen trees, one's the best evergreen shrubs for small gardens. And then I think fertilizers. Might have been one other. I forgot. I got it this morning. I'm going to email that to you. These are garden columns. They're 3 or 4 pages, but all the plants we're covering are in those notes. So if you're a note taker and we missed something, it'll be in your inbox by Monday. That's fair enough. So it'll just save a whole lot of hassle and stuff, and it saves me a whole lot of ink being able to. I'll send it to PDF or URL, one of those two. And I've got it right here. I'll send this around. Just put your email down if you want that. If you don't want it, let it pass. If you're part of our garden club, it's not going to all 11,000 people. It's only going to you all. Are you all tuned in? We'll put those links in the sidebar with the chat is. And then we have to cover why is the owner of one of the largest companies in town wearing sequins? Okay, I got to cover this. Okay. So next weekend, there's a major dance-off. It's called Dancing for the Stars. The Boys and Girls Club, this is their only fundraiser, really. They do some grant writing. Last year, they raised $460,000 for the clubs. It financed like 63% of 2 clubs. And without it, they're gone. They just can't do the program, and they can't do it. And Boys and Girls Club, they're an after-school. Instead of latchkey kids at home by themselves, waiting for mom and dad to get off work, the clubs are there to help them kind of brush up on their homework, keep them entertained, kind of keep them going off the streets. And then summer programs. So they've been asking me to dance for 7 years. I've said no for 7 years. This year they talked to my wife. They didn't ask me, they talked to her. And they said, hey, we want Ken to dance. And they actually coordinated this thing. It's kind of weird. Back in March, they said, or April, whatever it was, back in the spring when I had no time, they had all the staff come in. And they go, Ken, you've got an appointment inside the store. I went, no, I don't. I never have people meet me here. I go meet them there. No, you need to come in. And I've got like 15 employees. We wear blue aprons here to keep our close way. 15 at horseshoe of all the staff are right there. And then Alex Heineman, their CEO, comes in with a huge boom box, my disco. How did he know? And flowers. And he goes, now will you dance? No, I have peer pressure. So I said, yeah, I'll do this. So it's a 2-night event. It's at Yavapai College. They've been at every theater in town. This year, they've never been at Yavapai College. They've grown enough where they can fill a 1,000-person theater. It's going to be Jim and Linda Lee Performing Arts Center, the big one, and next Friday and next Saturday. So please come. I'm going to hand this out. So this is my go-to. Please vote for Kim and Carrie. If you go, it's a fun event. It's a great date night. Friday especially. It's $50. You go out, have a great time, and you know everyone that's on stage. It's sort of like Dancing with the Stars. It's that kind of flavor. This is Dancing for the Stars. We're dancing for the kids, based for the clubs. So that's kind of what's going on. So please vote for Ken. You'll see posters, banners, social posts everywhere. And then a good friend of mine said, oh, I liked your intro video. I shot a video, sent it to a friend yesterday. It's one that's going to play intro my dance, and it's the background music video that plays while I dance. It's a salsa. It's a big dance. I'll send you a link to that. Don't let me forget that. I'll make sure I get that close too. It's entertaining. It's truly entertaining. Okay, back to Evergreens. Who the heck? I'm Ken Lane. I own the waters. I own the place. My wife owns the place, and then Mackenzie, my daughter, she is next in line. So
We're getting
it's a
there.
family business. We've been in business for 61 years. My father-in-law, Mackenzie's grandfather, started the place back in 1962. It was the very first garden center in northern Arizona. Back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, we had some garden centers on Baseline down in Phoenix, and that was it, pretty much. She kind of came up into landscaping, started, and that's kind of been our history. So we have learned a thing or two about what grows, what doesn't grow. Where do you start that? Can they see my shoes on camera if I do this?
No.
Oh,
I can just. There you go.
See that? My shoes light up. You can't see in the sunlight, but they're gonna in the theater at my college. They're gonna light up. And then I know they can see this. Here's some of this. I don't know. The light's terrible for this.
Yeah, that's
My
not
light
coming across.
lights up too. Anyway, here we go. There's lots of smoke, laser lights. They're dropping me from the ceiling. There's my truck driving across the stage. I'm dancing to the back of it. It's like a half commercial, half, the garden guy. Wouldn't expect that. So anyway, then it's all full on. It's pretty cool. You got to be there. More to follow. Where's I even at? Where's I even at? Shoes. Yeah, but before that, I was going somewhere. Evergreens.
The class, you know.
Garden Center, 61 years. We've learned a thing or two. We farmed all over the county. And so I'm just going to impart a few of those things. And my goal every class, I want you to take away at least 3 things you can use like this week that'll make a difference like right now. There'll be more, but at least 3 things that you can use right now. Right now, evergreens are growing like crazy. Especially your hedge, we'll cover some of those like my LA Agnes or silverberry. It's a native plant that grows very well here. It's an evergreen. It's about, not quickly, so it goes about this big. This is the closest thing I have to it here. Looks like just like this. This is another hedge plant. This is euonymus. You folks in the Midwest and the East Coast, this is a top seller for hedges. This gold color looks really good against the natural blues that we have, the pink pines, Arizona cypress. That blue and gold is a classic design element. These guys get pretty big. If you have hedges, this is a really good time to trim them and fertilize them. So I'm doing that with my own gardens right now because I can trim them back. They've taken over. So they've been growing. They've grown 2, 3, 4, 5 feet, some of them. If you want to cut them back, keep them looking shapely, now is the time. Because now they've got enough growing season left they'll look butchered because you just cut it back. But now they've got an extra couple of months to now flush some new growth, so they'll look fantastic right through winter instead of having this cut back look. If you wait another 2 months, you'll be going, I want to clean things up. I'm out here with my pruners, it's time. And then they look like that all winter. It's kind of a strategic time right now to clean up things, to get them kind of looking good, because you got time you're in some active growing season. If you're pruning back your hedge or evergreen things, make sure you fertilize it right afterwards. Because they've used all that food that was down there last spring and summer. They've used all that to push that new growth. And if you take that off, they're going to be left starving. And that new growth will have kind of this yellow hue to it. This we call fluorosis. But if you simply fertilize after you prune, first of all, it does two things. It keeps them healthy looking. And then, if you happen to make a mistake, you pruned off too much, it'll grow its way right out of it. You cannot make a mistake this time of year. Okay, that's one little tidbit I can give you right now that's strategic, that'll make a difference in the next few weeks. Okay. Also brought a couple things here too. How about this? Oh, it wilted, dang it. This is like the most insidious weed. If you see this, I wish it was opened up. If you see this kind of laced leaf kind of weed, here, I'll pass that around. Don't sniff it. Just let it pass by. That is ragweed. That is the most allergy horrific plant you will ever find in your landscape. You do not want it anywhere near you. It's young. It doesn't have pollen yet, but as soon as it gets this tall, the entire top of the weed turns yellow, and then it floats. It's got a real light pollen to it, so it just gets picked up by the wind and floats off. And you'll have folks here, I predict within a week, you're gonna have folks with red eyes, itchy, sneezy. It's that plant. That's what's causing it. So I brought it as a sample. This is my hops, and I had snail damage on this. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. So you're seeing leaves with holes in them. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it should be a nice leaf. That is snail damage. So your snails are really bad right now. So I brought it. Oh, that's a good example. People need to know what that is. Here, I'll just pass this. Take that and just pass it around, just so people know. It could be a grasshopper, but usually when the leaves are missing holes right in the middle, it's almost always snails or slugs. Just be aware, and they're only going to get worse, especially with the storm coming through. They love moisture. They hide out underneath your plants, underneath the yarrows, underneath the vinca. They hide underneath things during the day because they're bird bait. Birds love them. They're like the best thing ever. And then they come out at night and you'll just see slime trails around. If you see that, I don't think I just brought them in to show you all. There's a snail bait. Down the snail and slug bait. This is one to be careful, especially if you have animals or you're a bird lover and you just love your life or your kids or you're like nature. Stay away from snail and slug baits that have chemicals in them. Zinc and iron are the two organic ways to solve it. So the only one we sell here is it's iron based because it's safer for your pets can go roll in it. It's not going to kill it. Whereas if the puppy dogs go eat that Walmart stuff, they're going to lose hair, and I don't know what they're going to do. It's not going to be pretty. Just be careful when you use baits. You kind of want to lean towards organics in that respect, and snail and slugs are so easy to go with that. Okay? Back at the farm, also some ag history. The way we keep snail and slugs off the farm, snail and slugs will not cross copper. They just won't do it. So we literally put copper strips around the farm, like 1,000 acres, around the whole thing, just to keep snail and slugs out. Because they won't cross it. There's something about copper they just won't do. Same thing with iron. These minerals, a little bit's good for you, but a lot of iron kills you, especially if you're a snail or a slug. So that's kind of just some insider things that'll help you. Like right now, I've seen them in my garden. My name's Ken. We're just friends. I'll come the back fence. These are things I've seen in my own garden that I think you could highly likely see those as well. Evergreens. Oh, I want to do this too. Just so you know who I am. I brought cards here. Oh, here, I'll give you my card. There you go. And on the back of my card is the actual water guide. So the number one question we get, I answer this question probably 10, 15 times a day. Every person here gets the same question, so we just put the water guide right there. So you're seeing water about once a week. Trees, shrubs, vines, things with a root structure. Things with a small root structure, like tomatoes, cucumbers, flowers. Maybe that's every 2 or 3 days. Your lawns are probably every other day. Right now, the pressure's off a little bit with this. Just throw it on the ground. We'll sweep that right on the ground. Feels good. Just throw it on the ground. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of like, it's not your kitchen, it's just a garden center. Yeah. Anyway, that's made to kind of help you know, when do you turn it on? April. When do you turn it off? End of October. And secretly, what I really, really want, I want my logo in every irrigation box you have by county. My main competitor is Home Depot and Lowe's. This is my way of going, gotcha. I may not have $1 million ad, but I got friends. So anyway, this will really help you, I think, okay? All right, 20%. 20% of your landscape should be dedicated to evergreens. So otherwise, come winter, it's gonna look barren. It looks lunar, it just looks, there's not enough light there. The other extreme to that is you commit too much. You got like 80% evergreens and it looks, you don't have enough of the spring bloomers, the summer bloomers. So the crepe myrtles are blooming right now, the smoke bush, the rose of Sharon, these beautiful hibiscus, the flowers are blooming. You don't have enough room for all the seasons. It's really 20% should be dedicated to spring bloomers, lilacs, Pacific quince, 20% to summer bloomers, so it's blooming right now. Crepe myrtles, rose of Sharons, even roses. 20% should be dedicated to fall color. We are in a 4 season, so maples, aspens, mums, fall color, and then 20% should be evergreens. Okay, that's your 4 seasons. That last 20%, if you're from Alaska, this is your winter home, dedicate it all the time that you're here. Fill it up with evergreens. If this is your summer home, you winter down in Scottsdale, now you're at Palm Springs or wherever, this is your summer place, dedicated to summer bloomers. This is when you're up here, dedicated to those kind of things. But you need a well-balanced type of landscape. That is 60%. 60% of your landscape mass, of your property, but in the driveway, the roof, and everything else should be foliage. So trees cover a big space. So that whole area, as you look down from Google Earth, 60% of that land should be foliage. We call it softscape. So if you get that too little, you don't quite get enough, it looks kind of, oh, what, they run out of money? What, they get this $1 million house and they didn't have any money for it? Like, it feels empty. What? They only like patios and that's it? Feels like something's lacking. It's a feeling that you'll just sense. And then if you get it too heavy, it feels like a jungle, like overgrown. What, they don't know how to run a chainsaw? What's going on? What's happening? It feels too overgrown, like you're not safe or something. So there's this balance, 60%. Just this is design 101. When they start teaching, this is where you start. Anytime, look at that little guy. The June bugs are out. Yes. Look at that little guy. That's good with the scrambled eggs. Gosh, those guys are bad. They're laying eggs right now in your gardens. So he's only out, or she, whatever it is, beetle. They're only out for one reason. They only live for a few weeks, if that, 2 days really. They're out to make whooping, lay eggs in your gardens, and they turn into grubs. So these white worms, they're always a beetle larvae. So there's a great big one right now I saw a couple days ago with a big horn on it. That makes a grub about this big. It looks like an alien life form that wants to suck in your jugular, like take you down. And that's a real cute one. June bugs are real cute little white worms. They're really bad in your garden because they eat the roots off the roots. You do not want them. They don't really like evergreens so much. They really like your vegetables, your roses, your some of your leafy. They really like fruit trees. I've seen them take down locusts, stuff like the leafy trees. So I've seen them kill a rhododendron before, so they get bad enough. Because they're not laying one egg; they're laying dozens and dozens, if not hundreds. So kind of keep an eye on that. So just something to watch. Buddy showed up. There we go. Just out of the blue. Okay. Where was I going? I sidetracked myself. This is a good crowd. You all are like fun. You got a good vibe, Gene. Or maybe it's just my shirt. I don't know. Take credit for it. I was going to go over deadwood. Anytime you see deadwood, especially your evergreens, do not leave dead branches, twigs, any kind of dead. Do not leave that there. Whenever you see it any time of year, prune it out. Deadwood tends to be a magnet towards pulls more problems in to your yard and then it spreads. So really important for bark beetle and tip borer. So Arizona cypress, that's this one right here, is famous for tip borer. Not so much, if I see it, I can kind of leave it in this one. You should eat here. I know that refrigerator called it to you, and you just want to go grab another cup of coffee, but you should come down. We're hanging out with some cool people here. Anyway, there's a little tiny beetle about, not even an 1/8 inch. Gets in the tips and starts to burrow down. So you'll see flat, we call it flagging, so the tips will just die like this. That's always one thing, tip borer. Very easy to solve. There's a drench we can put on there, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But if you see that and you solve the problem, don't leave that dead branch on there because there's a scent that trees throw off. But hey, I'm really stressed out. I'm easy prey. Come eat me. And so bugs cue in on this and go, hey, bring the chips, the salsa. We're going over there and we're going to eat that tree together because that seems like their immune system's weakened. And so they're after an easy meal. They don't want a healthy, vibrant tree because they have a way of flushing or killing off or defending themselves. So watch for that, no dead wood. Bark beetle is even worse. It's a bug about maybe a 1/4 inch. It's a cute little beetle, but they burrow underneath in the bark. Anytime you'll see if you're walking in the forest, we're going to ponderosa. If you see pinholes in the bark, that's always bark beetle. That's the exit tunnel of that particular bug. And there's never just one, there's always colonies or entire families. They get underneath that bark and they start eating the candy layer. Just underneath the bark is real sweet wood with a new wood to it. They like the taste of that. If they get bad enough, they'll finally girdle the entire tree and the tree dies. That's how it dies. The tree will literally die of starvation. It just is cut off from its nutrients from the roots and it dies. You can start at the top of the outer branches or at the very base. It just depends on how bad they are. So kind of watch that. If you see pinholes in your bark, come and see us right away. We can show you how to solve that. If you're out in the forest where you've got a lot of pine trees, automatically every year, I think I brought that, drench. Yeah. Tree and shrub drench. Can you focus on tree and shrub drench? This is something you do not need to be an arborist. You could do this yourself. You don't need to hire some fancy rig, pay them $1,000 to spray your land. You can do this yourself. You mix this up in a watering can. You pour it right at the base of the tree where the tree touches the soil. You put it right there. The plant will actually absorb this underneath the bark and treat the tree for a year. Very easy to use. Kind of new science out, but if you've got ponderosas on your property, you need to treat this every year. If you've got pinyon pines, you're up that Copper Basin, out towards the ranch, you've got this chaparral area, you should be treating your trees evergreens every year. Now, you can't treat the entire forest. But there are some of you built your house around the pine trees. It's so beautiful, you've actually moved your property around how you built on it for those. There's some that are really valuable. Make sure you treat those trees, the tree and shrub drench. Okay? So a 5-gallon bucket or a watering can, very easy to use. Okay, we can show you. If you have that, we'll show you how to use this. Yep.
Will it kill the larva that's in the ground at the tree?
So will it kill the larva in the ground?
Well, yeah.
If it's in the wood, yes. There's a little bit, but mainly this is for in the actual wood part of the tree. It's doing that. If they're actually in the ground, there's better choices down there for in-ground stuff. So depends. Was I ambiguous enough? Mainly for the bark. Just get it for the bark. And you just measure the trunk, however many inches around, that's how many ounces of this. That's how you do it. Super, super easy. So this bottle would treat about 32-inch, a big tree, or several small trees. So you might need 2 or 3 or 4, I don't know, bottles of this to treat your tree, but one application gets you for the year. Yeah. Ideally, so the question is, when is the best time? If you've never done it, now. But ideally, you're part of our garden club, and you're part of our news feed. I write a weekly garden column. I'll write something in the month of March, first part of April, and I'll judge it. I'll go by when I start to see that first new growth coming up. The lilacs are blooming, forsythias have been blooming for a few weeks. That's your cue. Daffodils have flowers on. Nature will tell you. You feel like things are waking up. That's a time because the plants are now taking up. They're taking up nutrients and forming their new growth. So in the spring is ideal. Or whenever, if you've never done it now, just treat it. Okay? It travels about a foot a day. So it takes a while for it to get through. A bigger tree, it might take 2-3 weeks for it to get up to the top layer. So for me, I have a brand new, so I turned 60 this year. I thought, yeah, thank you very much. I thought I would buy a Corvette. Time. Yeah, okay, that's an old guy's. I've been driving BMWs, European stuff, so I'll go back to Gia products. And I've got my office, I've got a very large ponderosa pine. And the aphids had gotten up there, and they were spitting. They call it aphid dew, or aphid poo, basically. They were spitting, they were pooping on my car with sap. But that's offensive. My brand new car, and you're pooping on it. That's not going to happen in my world. So I treated it with the tree shrub drench, take it right out. So it really does help. If you see spotting, sometimes you'll see underneath your pine trees, it looks like it's wet, but there's been no rain. That's always aphids. It's aphid foods. They're at the top of the tree. Typically, they like that new, tender new growth. They'll get in there by the hundreds. And a tree aphid is different than the rose aphid. Rose aphids are cute, though they're green, they're pretty. Tree aphids are they look like spiders. They're supersized, like they're gonna eat your skin off or something. They're huge, and they take on this black hue to them. So they almost look like bark. They're hard to see, and so but they pierce the needle. They suck the juice out, and then what's excreted is the spotting you see in your car, your driveway, or the rock that's around it. It's always aphids. So now you can help your neighbors know what that is. And we see it every spring and every fall. Because aphids like the cool weather. They like it to be, they don't like summer, they like cool nights, bright days. So just know that sequence. Okay? I think we covered all the bugs. Oh, one while we're on that, then we can move past bugs. Pinyon pine scale is a real thing. So pinyon pines, so you've got two main natives that are pine trees, ponderosa pines, and we have pinyon pines. Pinions are a little bit shorter one, kind of ball shaped, kind of has this shorter needle to it, has a blue hue to it. Ponderosas are longer or green. Pinyon pines get a scale on them. Not so much bark beetle, more scale. And so this white mass builds up in the spring around the base or the main crotches. So mainly towards the base, at the main area where you can just see it. You'll see this cottony kind of gathering of stuff. Many times I'll have some black dots in it. That's the egg mass. That way you know, oh, I've got scale. You see that, you need to treat it with tree shrub drench. It's serious. Okay? Gather up those egg masses as best you can. Give them to people, that uncle you don't like, just give it to people or throw it away. Get it off your property. Don't compost, get it out of there. Because they're going to hatch and start to spread. And they just work down the neighborhood. They have a crawler stage. When they hatch, they got what we call a crawler stage. Then they move from tree to tree to tree. And so you've seen entire neighborhoods obliterated. There's not one pinyon pine left. But there's always that one house where the gardener knew what to do. And they fertilize and they treat it, and there's this beautiful specimen sitting there, and all the others have died. That's just know that your yard, if you're in a neighborhood that has scale, it's gonna come your way. You should probably be proactive to keep that thing healthy. A thin, wispy pine tree, pinyon pine should look rich, tropical, it should be thick. If it's thin and wispy, it's probably got pines, pinyon pine scale. And you can look at it yourself. If you take a needle and you see a little dot on it, looks like someone took a pencil mark, put like a little dot on that needle, that dot is the scale. You can't recognize the insect, but you can see the dot. And it has a scale, it has a covering on it that keeps the ladybugs and praying mantis off of it. But that's its defense. But underneath that scale, there's a bug, and it pierces the needle, sucks the juice out, and the tree literally starves to death. So it just kind of they take all the nutrients out. So treat it. Yeah.
Timing for that spray, is it the same early spring or the timing for?
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Timing would be the same for this, for the tree shrub drench.
Yeah.
Spring is ideal.
Okay.
March, April, somewhere in there. It's a pretty big window, like a month window. But timing. Look for the egg mass. That'll be another cue.
Horticultural oils work also?
Horticultural oil will work if you're catching them in the crawler stage. If they're already scaled over, not nearly as effective. There's some knockdown, especially if you catch them when they're real young. They can really scaled over. But if you got scale on them right now, they're hardened. Oils would be totally ineffective. Don't even bother. Unless you just like spraying oils. And just have fun. So anyway, it's about the same time. And if you have questions, we're here for you. I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just trying to, if you're in those forested areas where you've got some evergreens, there's some things you should look for. I would say you can plant pine trees. Plant those. Just be aware you might have to, everything needs some nurturing to keep them healthy. The best thing you can do for your landscape, I don't care what it is, food and water goes a long ways. So food mainly. We don't have enough nutrients in our soil here. This is a hard concept. You folks in the Midwest, we have 8-foot topsoil. Here we have 8 millimeter. There's just not enough good, rich garden soil to create the nutrients that we have. And then the little bit that does fall, we tend to clean it all up, especially in the forested area, because it's a fire hazard. So we break down, we disconnect that composting sequence, and so our plants are often left starving. So you'll need to fertilize a little more often. And I'll send you that fertilizer thing, because now's a good time to fertilize. What else? We got bark beetle, scale. I think we got it. Tip borers. Got all the evergreen things. It's good. Questions on bugs? Basically, if you see it, come in, bring a sample in. If you could, please put it in the baggie. Don't bring it open. Like, obviously, this has got disease and pestilence. And I'm spreading it everywhere. This baggie kind of keeps it from spreading as you bring it in. And we'll put it in the microscope and take a look. We'll show you even. They've got like 10 eyes, 8 legs. They're scary looking when you blow them up 500 times. They're tiny little things. This one I brought for you. This is probably one of the most famous in the country. It's privet. It's a nice little evergreen. Gets up about head high. It's like this big. You just let it go natural like this, or you can trim it and make Dr. Seuss looking plants. Spirals, pom-poms, squares, hedges. It really likes to cut on. And the more you prune it back, the thicker it gets. The beautiful thing, this is what we call a broadleaf evergreen. It's truly evergreen. It does have a needle. So conifers have needles. Broadleaves have actual foliage that are evergreen. Okay, so that's the definition between the two. This has got a real waxy leaf to it, real thick and waxy, which makes it very efficient as far as water use goes. So this would be a low to moderate water user because of that waxy leaf to it. So it adapts really, really well here. You will need to put it on a drip system to keep it looking good, especially in June, July. It's hot. We're going to get to 100. We need it to be hot to bring in the monsoon. That's what triggers the monsoons. But you just got to fill in that gap while the monsoons come. Now you notice your plants in the last month, 3-4 weeks. They're like they're singing, they're like dancing out in the yard. They're totally different plants because they're happy with the moisture, humidity, cloud cover, and it's not as hot. It's just not hot. It's humid, it's sticky. There's plants like that. more than I do. I don't like, you should wear sequins when it's hot out. Actually, on the weekend, I'll wear these shoes. Children love these shoes. Oh my gosh, they think it's the greatest thing ever. I can't believe a man would actually wear those. They're pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's go to shrub a tree. I'll bring this over here. This is our, of course, it's just water. This is our native. We have two types of junipers that grow here. We have alligator juniper, and we have shaggy bark juniper. They're the same plant, just the bark is a little bit different. Okay, this is one of those. They get a central leader. Many times they can have multiple branches coming out. I've got one with 2 branches in my backyard, the wild one that just grew there. I pruned it up, so it was just this big ball. I pruned it up so I could plant underneath it, have this garden nest. It's a beautiful plant. The structure of the plant is just stunning. Then I uplight it, downlight it, that's marked underneath it. It's a highlight of the entire backyard. Unfortunately, and I wish I could change this about this plant, it's a male. Male junipers are the problem. If you've got allergies in the spring, probably from junipers, and it's the men that are doing the problems. Okay? Women form the balls or the berries, so they don't have, they're not the ones doing the allergy stuff, it's the men. The guys, if you've ever seen the juniper in spring, and that sun first comes up and lights it up, it literally will explode. It literally looks like a bomb, like it's on fire. It looks poof. And he wants to pollinate every gal on the mountainside. We're talking every single one. He's pollinating everything. It only takes one male to pollinate a lot of females. So here we only sell females at Wonders Garden Center. As we know, you've got allergy stuff, and I do too. So mine is a male, and he has this yellow color to him. In the spring, maybe late winter, early spring, he's got this real yellow outer color to it. That's always a man. And then he explodes, and then he's fine. It's not an allergy thing the rest of the year. Just that one month, he's just really a problem. So the ladies aren't that way. So you can walk through the forest, and you kind of go, that's a female. It's a male. You know how to identify. If it's got berries on it in the forest, that is absolutely female. She's the one that actually makes new trees. So there's a few random males coming up, but that's this guy. So he's going to get easily 25, 30 feet tall, probably 20 feet wide, nice big ball shaped, fast growing. And once it's up to size, you never have to water it again. True native. So animals, deer, javelina, rabbits, antelope, they don't eat these. They learn, if I nibble on this, I get sick to my stomach. I don't like that, so we leave them alone. Kind of a program. So it's a natural defense these plants have at keeping them away. Good strong grower. This one we should show you too. This is probably the number 1 size. I sell probably 10 of these to one of those. This is Arizona cypress, another native. It's a little faster growing than this one and thicker, fuller. This has got more of a wilder kind of, like I'm from Arizona. This goes, yeah, from Arizona, but I could also grow anywhere else. The shape being good. This is going to grow up to about 20 feet tall, 12 foot wide, solid. I mean, we're just thick right through it. So we use this frequently. The reason we use it so much is windbreaks, especially out in the valley areas. Screening. Got a new hot tub that neighbor keeps. Every time you get in the hot tub, like they turn the bathroom light on, they want to watch you bathe or conversations. This is the one we use to screen it out. Very fast grower. Probably the fastest. It's not the fat. Theodore cedar is the fastest. I didn't bring that one up here because it's too big for most yards. It's too aggressive. 80 foot by 25 feet. Most yards don't need that big a tree. I don't have that one in my yard. I have these and some other junipers. So this is good. Screen on the barn. Arizona cypress. Arizona cypress. There's another one you'll find. I'll just tell you. Beware. I realize people shop around. You'll see another cypress. It's real green called Leland cypress. It's over at Depot right now. Don't buy that. Guaranteed death within 5 years. There's a canker, there's a disease that we cannot cure. We haven't sold that tree in 15 years here. That tree keeps dying. Whereas this is a cousin to it. This one does not get that canker to it. But there's no cure. There's no, I wish there was a cure. I'd be a very wealthy man, but you'd be able to plant those and you can solve them. So there's no cure. And if you have one in your yard, it is going to die. Come on, man. Leland cypress, L-E-Y-L-A-N-D, Leland cypress. I can't believe folks are still selling that here. That's just that's a rookie move. Yeah, I'm a buyer for a box store. Send 50 of those to all my stores. That's what, and it's a symbiotic thing that happens to the oak trees. So oaks can carry it. So where there's oaks, there's not going to be Leland cypress. That's what's going to be. We've known this is the case for a number of years. So anyway, if you have a big line of big evergreens down your driveway, start planning on death happening. Start planting some things in its place so when they do die, you aren't left naked. You've got something to kind of fill on and keep you going. So it's going to come down. You've seen it go down the line, just kill every single one of them. There's nothing we can do. Okay. So we got a couple of evergreens. Let's go down some of this one for you southern folks. You got to cover this. This is a borderline. Is that working?
I just gotta delete some of the footage.
There you go. So this is this is actually, I brought the wrong one. This is the Californians one. This is passion vine. This is a very fast growing vine. We're down in Phoenix. I wish you had more flowers, red flowers. I thought it was a jasmine. So jasmine is kind of a zone 8 kind of plant. We are definitely a zone 7. So you can grow zone 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7 and lower, you're good. So lilacs are zone 4. We're going to have like minus 40 degrees and crazy cold we'll never see. So zone 7 is 15 degrees. So that's just well below freezing, but not quite to 0. So those plants have a lot of antifreeze in them. This plant is a zone 10. If you look at it, it's going to die. Yeah. So it's an annual evergreen line. It's evergreen down in Phoenix, Palm Springs, Tucson, Southern California. It grows very well here, but it's because of that zone, it won't winter over. Many folks will bring it indoors as a house plant, or they'll take it down to their Phoenix home. They transport it with them. But up here, if you leave this outside, it will die. And I grow this every year in my own yard. But I just fully expect. I enjoy it for a season, and I go, well, it's been good knowing you. See you later. Now let it go. So when I do own a garden center, I don't feel bad about letting plants die. I think they're meant to be enjoyed. But just be aware, this is really important for like evergreen sedums, agaves. There's a whole series of very popular plants in California. They're switching over finally to low water use plants over there. Well, a lot of those are annuals, like this. And I have a lot of folks make the mistake, they bring their collection with them. They plant them outdoors, and then they die the next winter. What did I do wrong? It's such terrible gardening. It wasn't you, it was the wrong plant in the wrong place when going through winter. There's a whole series of them that are hardy that we sell here. So you can have those when you have the right one. So I bring that up to you just so I know your zone and know not every evergreen will grow here. Some will and some won't. There's a question back. Yeah.
Do you get fruit on that in one season?
There's no fruit on it.
No fruit on
No, I wish. That'd be great. Yeah. It's just basically pretty. There it's a perennial. It just grows and grows.
That's what I thought, one season.
Here, yeah, it needs to be older. Yeah. Could be Mandevilla, passion vine.
Oh, the
Same thing, yeah. Mandavias, passion vine, same thing. Also, you're seeing this. So we're starting mums and asters, flocks, they're all coming through. They're like maybe another week, 10 days. I can harvest those. We'll start bringing those in. The fall crops, very exciting. Right now, they're green blobs in the bucket. They're not pretty enough, but we're liquidating all the summer things out of here. So this weekend is a soft launch. So you hear about a monster monsoon sale. That's our clearance sale. You see a tag on it. So this is usually $50, and it's $25. Just want you to have it, get it out of here, because I got truckloads of plants coming, and I'd rather see your yard than so just clear out the last few. Nothing wrong with them. It's just we just don't want it. We don't want this crop. We want the next fall things coming. So you'll hear about monsoon sale. You're on the radio. You'll see that if you're breathing, you're gonna hear about it. But look for the tags. That goes for pottery, all kinds of stuff. So we're just clearing out last week's stuff. We got new spring stuff coming. So okay. All those poor folks online.
I know.
They should be here.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Okay, let's show you a couple shade plants. So this shade. So some of you have quite a few shade areas. And there's some beautiful evergreens that love under the shade. So underneath the canopies of the trees, on the north side of your house, under a patio, and that entrance, a container, where maybe it sees a little light, but maybe it's shaded. These are your plants. Let's start with this one. This is truly a conifer. This is Y-E-W. It's a beautiful evergreen. You can put a little tiny red berry on it through winter. It is very robust. Again, it's got a very waxy kind of needle to it. So it's very efficient on its water use. So this one grows as it sticks, goes to spreading. There's one that grows up like this, and there's some that grow out like this. So there's two forms. They both look exactly the same. Just what's their natural tendency. Some just kind of sprawl out, some go up. But these are very strong growers in the shade. I would say no more than 6 hours of sun, and this will thrive. If you give it in that midday, back in July when it was like 100 degrees, it would not like that. It would live. You look at the national tag, it says lives in full sun. Not in Prescott, not at this altitude, not at 5,000 foot. The sun is too intense. And really, it's the air is too dry. It's the aridness that gets into that bright sun. So that's where things can change a little bit. If you come from more humid areas, it can be a little bit different. So that's you. This is Lily of the Valley, or Pieris. This one's famous. This is actually going to be next spring's flower bud. It's forming already. Kind of like it's got a very long formation of flowers. So it'll start now, and then it will finally erupt with this fragrant, beautiful white flower in March, April, and May. It's got a very all spring season. It's in bloom. And that's just nice little evergreen. It's about, like this big. Kind of knee-high, knee-ball shaped, evergreen shrub, perennial shrub. It's a great little plant. I wish it was in bloom. I just pass a limb around and you go, oh, I know that smell. Yeah, my grandmother grew that. I think it's even sweeter than lilacs or roses. Lily of the Valley. This one is so flexible, it'll grow almost anywhere. This is Abelia. It's a shrub about like this. Evergreen, mostly evergreen. I have had this go through sub-zero in my yard. About every 10, 12 years, we get crazy cold. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can't believe it's this cold. I don't want to go work at the garden center today. It's just cold. It's that. And you get that, it can defoliate some, but most years we rarely see that. It stays green for us. What I like about this, in a darker area of the garden, it's got this bright yellowy hue to it. So it's almost like it radiates or shines in the garden. And then it blooms with these flowers to it. Does this smell good? They smell absolutely just a light fragrance, very much. So the Abelia is a great plant. Looks young, looks little, but it's going to be like this. Trims really nicely. You trim it up. It goes well in containers, raised beds, just right out there in the yard. It's a great plant for the shade. These two, I'll get both these are the same. Oh,
Yeah, it's heavy.
Too heavy. These are related. Yeah. This is for you East Coast folks. You gotta have a lesson. You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Okay? These are grown right out there in full sun on the east. This is the number one seller back east, holly. It grows wild out there. It's a weed. Here it does grow here. It's a zone 6. It's going to grow here really well. But there it grows in full sun. Here we need some shade. It'll take a lot of sun. But that midday, it'll take morning sun, no problem. But it needs to be out of that midday, 11 to 2, or it's going to burn. The tips will burn back. The leaves will have brown edges. It will live, but you'll hate the plant. It just looks ugly. But give it some shade. It's beautiful, stunning. Again, a waxy leaf, very efficient. Animals don't eat it. It's a great little plant. Actually, this is a great bigger plant. This is the same thing, only a little bit. These are both ilex or holly. This holly is a very large family of plants. There's like hundreds of varieties. These two guys are cousins. This is just a little cousin. This is the cousin it. If you're into the Adams family, then this would be the bigger guy. They're both good guys. Evergreen. I love these. Heavily bamboo, but it's not truly a bamboo. Bamboo is a weed. It's actually aggressive. I mean, children, dogs were lost to bamboo. This is not that way. This is not as aggressive. So, but it still has that bamboo look to it. That foliage looks like a bamboo, and the stems sort of look like a bamboo. It doesn't have those runners. This one will grow in full sun or full shade. This is called plum passion. So it's a new variety. It's got this purpley look to it. And so if it's in full sun through the winter, starting usually December through March or so, it'll just be all purple. It's bright, almost glows with this color. It's evergreen or evergreen and part purple. It keeps its foliage, but it turns purple. If it's in more shade, it will stay green. So it's real flexible. So the more sun you get, the more color you get. That goes for all the heavenly bamboos or Mandinas. That's the same plant. So there's several varieties here because it does so well. Takes our clay, takes our soil, takes our animals, don't eat it. It's got a sap to it that javelina are not going to eat, rabbits are not going to eat. So it's a good strong plant. It goes in the ground, goes in containers. It's really flexible. Every yard should have at least one of these. Pick the variety you like. Just soft and easy to grow. I grow this one. This exact one I grow in a container. Big square pot. It's been out there for years. It's on the north side of my house. It screens my hot tub. It's up this tall. I want to keep my neighbors away. I like to look in my hot tub and not have people looking at me. It's in my head. I don't know. I just want to see people see me. Where do we have? Ground covers. Let's do that. 3 ground covers. Those get this. Brought this as ground cover lesson. So junipers. I got one more. Canyon plants. These are all companion plants. These are low-growing, evergreen, spreading plants. These are probably the most difficult to design if you're coming from an area that's big into lawns. Remember that 60% thing I told you? So if you've just got lawn everywhere, you basically sold your mower to move out here, you're never going to own one again. That kind of, that a nickel, every time I heard that. Well, grass covers all that, makes it all soft. Now we're replacing lawn with rock lawns. Now it's really easy to get it where it just doesn't feel the same. It feels too dusty, too dead, something's off. So we need to use plants like this at the edges strategically to encourage that growth, not to replace the lawn, give us that soft scape, that green, help us get that balance right. These are 2 that are used often for that. So we'll edge the hillside, erosion control. We're going to get, this weekend, we're going to have, landscapes going to be washed out. These root out and hold hillsides in. Okay? So these are spreading junipers. I've got 3 or 4 or 5 colors. I brought these 2 because this is the most popular, blue. This one plant, you see it's already going crazy. This is going to grow this big, maybe a little bit more. Okay. Blue is great. It's our natural Arizona color. Myself, I use this color because I have dark rock, I've got dark color, and blue kind of fades into that darker mocha and earth tones, whereas the brighter colors pop. They give you that contrast. So it has this design element. And your gut will tell you, oh, I think I like that color. You put it out there, go, oh, that looks good. Or they don't see it. It's kind of blended right in. So bringing that lesson to you. Okay. This one is Cotoneaster. This is Coral Beauty Cotoneaster. This gets long runners. This will run out at least. This is probably at least 6x6, 8x8 size. So it looks innocent. Then it touches the ground, but you see it's already starting to put a limb off. It's already starting to grow this. It grows this way, not this way. This grows this way, then it falls out and runs. The Cotoneaster is great at that. There's a native variety of this. This is the wild one. You'll see this growing out in the forest. This is a cousin of that same exact plant. So animals have been programmed. Rabbits are not going to eat this. Javelina are not going to bother this. So it's got more of that Arizona color. It's got more of that green kind of color. And so, but they're equally as hardy. They get a white flower in spring that turns into a red berry. It's very pretty. And there's no thorns. You know, your grandparents grew firethorn or pyracantha. That grows here too. Just make sure you have a good set of thick, heavy, like welder's gloves. When you touch it, because it's got thorns on it. This one has the same kind of berries, same kind of look, but no thorns. Cotoneaster is really, really good for you. Or cotton Easter is how you'd spell it. Come take a picture of the tag, and you'll have the handout here. This is definitely, these guys are all companion plants. We frequently put them out there together. Because, you know, 100-foot wall, hill, whatever, all the same thing, boring. We try to put in odd numbers, so 3, 5, 7, group them together, the next thing, 3, 5, 7. We try to put groupings of different plants. It looks like the hill erupted with life out there. Sun, 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 more sun. Then take a blow dryer to it. Then curse at it. Then kick dirt at it. It's gonna like that. It likes full sun. Yeah, something like that. Yep. Yeah, we're getting close. We're about on time. Perfect. This is related to this plant. Again, I forgot to mention this one. She mentioned that this is another ground cover. This is probably the #1 selling vine that we sell here. It's honeysuckle. This specific one is Paul's honeysuckle. As a kid, you know, they had the white, yellow flowers. Just pull the stamens out and suck on the nectar. It's a pollinator. That's this one. Does really, really well here. We also have it 3 or 4 more colors. It's so robust. This is the only one that sort of keeps its foliage. The others are truly deciduous. That is, they lose their leaves. This one will keep its foliage. Most mild winters is going to keep its foliage. Often we use this to trail up fences, walls, but also you can take the stakes off. It makes a great ground cover. It kind of spilled in between all the rocks, boulders. So you can use this either way, ground cover or to grow up things. It's a pretty versatile plant. This is one that would really benefit. I don't think we pruned this enough. So you'll see it out as a ground cover. We haven't pruned it back in a few years, and now it's real plating at the base. So this one really benefits from very hard pruning in February and March. Be aggressive, like be brutal. The bigger the hedger, bigger the tool, better the prune it right back, fertilize it, comes back fresh, new runners out there. So prune on this one pretty hard. If you're going this up a fence, prune it right back as close to the fence or chain link as you can, and then fertilize it. You'll just flush all new growth, get better flowers. We don't prune these back enough in the late winter, early spring. This one and this one are related. This is a Colorado spruce. You're in every neighborhood. They're everywhere. Spruce mountains. It's right here. This is what's growing on Spruce Mountain. And firs. So big, strong leader, branches swooping out. Very slow grower. It's only going to grow about a foot, maybe 18 inches a year, but it's methodical. It just does it every year you can count on. Doesn't really get any real bugs. It doesn't have issues. It's kind of just a solid, strong. A lot of the newer folks are from tropical areas. We won't say who the Californians are. I don't know what the name is, but it looks like a Christmas tree. Or describing spruce.
How much water do they take?
I'll get to water in a second.
Okay.
This one is related to this. They're the same. These are cousins, but this does not put central leader on. It grows like the balls. Bird's nest spruce. So it's more of a shrub. It's about like this. We use them at the entrances, up walkways, up the planters, going up the sidewalks, and down the driveway. We use them as accents. In the middle of a flower bed, has a beautiful evergreen anchoring accent. That's how we use this. But they're exactly the same. Same color, same genus, same. Just one's dwarfy and one's tall. Okay, so that's the lesson. How much do you want of these? You got the business card. With that it says water about once a week or deep soak. That's plenty for this guy. Evergreens. The secret is, if you're going to kill these, it will be generosity. Don't overwater evergreens or they will yellow and die. If in doubt, leave the water out with an evergreen. So don't, if your hobby is not gardening, your hobby is watering, probably have better choices than the evergreens we've been showing off here. We probably have some other deciduous stuff because they're more forgiving than evergreens. The way they do it, once they start showing color, they like defoliate and drop all their needles like in 2 weeks. Just like, wow. They died like a month ago, but they seem to drop all their needles like right now, all at once. I don't know what happened. Oh, I went out last weekend, it was fine. This weekend it's dead. That's how these conifers mainly will go on you. So about once a week, a deep soak, just about right. Okay. Good question. Very good question. Okay, spruce. Almost. Here we go. Got to get a couple in. This is for you gardeners. This is Deodar cedar. It's one of the few gold-colored trees. Most yellow or gold trees burn in our sun. Very few plants will actually take yellow. There's something about yellow with the chlorosis. With that bright sun and dryness, they burn off the leaves. This one doesn't do that. It's really dramatic out there in the landscape. We've got a whole bunch of pinyon pines or a lot of the emery oaks, the scrub oaks.
Yep.
You've got lots and lots of blue. Sometimes you need to pop out something interesting. This is one of those interesting plants. This is a Deodar cedar, just a gold Deodar cedar. It's a cousin to that ginormous one that grows in your neighborhood. If you're into the Bible and stuff, it's called the tree of Lebanon. They made it like a tabernacle out of that. Like the Egyptians made sarcophagus out of trees. That's that plant that grows here. Ginormous plant. It grows 200 feet tall if left. If we can give it another 100 years, those Deodar cedars in your neighborhood will be 200 feet tall.
Wow.
Right now, they're cute at 70 to 80 feet tall. That's why they're too big for most. I would never. So you got both, okay? Number one selling container plant at the front door.
Yep.
This is Alberta spruce. It's related to Colorado spruce. I see it, the same family of plants, but this one's the teddy bear of the spruce family. It is painfully slow growing. That's why we use it in containers quite a bit, because there's never going to outgrow its space. This is one you do want to invest in a little bit, spend a little bit more, and get the size you want, because you go from this to this size will take years. So it only grows about a couple inches, inch and a half, a couple inches a year. So you see how long it would take us to grow. So ultimately, in the old established one, you'll see about head high and about kind of chubby little evergreens. They're used frequently at the front door at Christmas. We have hundreds of these at Christmas. Because they're Christmas, they're twinkle lights and bows. They just scream holidays for folks. So we invest in a lot of those. That's a good little plant here. This one can get, there's one bug get on it, spider mites. Sometimes you'll see this, it looks like spider webs, but you don't see a spider. Spider mites like the taste of evergreens, especially the junipers and this one. Like those are the things. If you see some spider webs, you should distress over it. Super easy to solve. You just have to be aware, just don't let it go. Because they can kill the plant. So spider mites are real tiny, you can't see them. The only way I can see them is if I take my phone out and I tap the foliage, and that screen is real black, you'll see the dust moving around. That's the only way you can see them. If dust is moving, that's spider mites. They take the foliage and they've got a scarifying mouth part, they got a scraping mouth part, and they just scrape the tissue off. So the plants literally have no skin left, so they die. So if you see it, super easy, and they're not every year, it's not every time, like bark beetle and stuff. But just put it on your radar. Go, oh, if I see spider webs, go down to talk to the guy that was presenting that class down at Waters Garden Center. Just remember the Waters Garden Center. Come down because you won't be the only one. It'll be the entire neighborhood will get spider mites. There was a blip real quick this last late spring, early summer where we had some spider mites. Then they disappeared. There's none out right now that I've seen. So, and they don't like humidity. They don't like rain. They're not going to like the system coming through. They like dry, hot summer. That's what spider mites like. There's a window when they seem to show up. And then we got to go for you hardcore gardeners. Red fish hook barrel cactus. This is a strong zone 8. Okay, so you folks up Prescott Valley, Dewey, probably golden with that. You folks up in Highland Pines, Hazley, Groom Creek, be very, very careful. So I'm up above the high school, I'm at 5,600 foot level. I grow this one, it's quite large, it's this big around. It's been in a pot. But what I do, that's a classic design. Big old cactus in a like vase-shaped container. It just looks, screams it should be in the front of magazines, and it is. So I'm growing that. I don't need this out in the yard. I bring it next to the house and have it touch my house in the winter. And that seems to be enough. Your house throws off enough heat. It'll take that zone 8 plant and it protects it enough where I've had it last some cold winters. It's done quite well. Mine's about to bloom right now as we speak. So that's one of those that bring up cactus because it's evergreen. Prickly pear are robust, you can't kill them. They're weeds. Okay, a toya or jumping cactus, you can't kill those. Some of them are pretty, but then you get in some the clear cups, little tiny ones. Those are basically all the cactus you can grow here. Other than that, you go borderline. There's several barrel cactus you can grow, but we encourage folks to protect them or do something to, especially at the higher elevations. So if you're tuned in from Cottonwood, can't hurt you done. Fine, just go out there and have it. Up here, because you're so 4,000 feet, so cold, not quite, we're 5 degrees colder than you all are. So anyway, it's just kind of a quick cactus lesson. Everyone wants to come in and there's this mesmerizing thing about cacti here. Most of them die. So don't buy your plants from Phoenix, bring them up the hill and expect them to winter over with you, they'll die. They're going to freeze, they'll turn into black mush as they freeze in January, basically. Same with citrus, it's an evergreen. Notice I didn't mention that here, it doesn't grow up here. Unless it's a house plant. So there are some citrus, lemons, limes, that kind of stuff, but they'll bring them indoors in the greenhouse for the winter. And then they bring it back out. If you left it right out there, citrus will go down about 20 degrees. Below 20, they're dead. So we always get below 20. I don't care where you're tuned in from. The mountains, once you come up, I-17 up from up Bucking, we're going to get cold. It's definitely 4 seasons. Those kind of plants are fine. So that's when you switch to apples, peaches. This morning I had fresh peaches off the tree. My mouth's watering just thinking about it. It was so delicious. Not evergreen, so I didn't bring it, but you don't think citrus, think some of the ones that grow up here. With that, I think I've got everything covered. We've covered bugs. Let me cover just lastly, just real quick, how to keep them all looking pretty. Just a few nutrients that I think will be a game changer. First, let's start with what to fertilize frequently. This is your main go-to. All-purpose plant food. Cottonseed meal, bird guano, iron, sulfur. Makes it more acidic, brings out the color. Evergreens like acidity. Your water is very alkaline. So you're always trying to counter that water, your irrigation, you're always trying to counteract that water that's very, very alkaline. Your water naturally wants to raise the pH up. If you're in a hot tub, 0 to 10 basically. Once you get real alkaline, you jump in the hot tub, you come out, you feel like your skin's crawling. Off, you gotta go shower because the pH is off. Well, with the plants, their roots won't rub up. They have the same effect on the roots. So you really want to watch that pH. We know you're going to struggle with pH. So I made this 20 years ago because I knew I want to make sure that pH is pushed out. So put sulfur. Okay, this is your go-to. You're fertilizing 4 times a year, especially evergreens. So you're thinking spring, summer, fall, New Year's, winter. If you're thinking holidays, think Easter, 4th of July. Monsoons are usually showing up then. Halloween is the most important feeding, especially for evergreens, because they're going to use that food to form that winter's button or new growth, and it's going to elongate next spring. It's using the fall food to push spring growth. So it's the most important. And then I think moving to fertilize at the new year, especially evergreens. When we have this winter closes, this yellowing happens. You'll see your neighborhood, some of your spruce, the cedars, junipers, have this yellow look to them. That's winter chlorosis, very common. Just with that one fertilizer in the winter, keeps them green as can be, or it's blue, but it keeps them in color. Like you can tell who fertilized you did just walking down your neighborhood. That's how you fertilize. Now, with that being said, since it's specialized, some of these, like this spruce, notice how blue it is. It's actually grafted spruce. We're taking the best of the best. We take a cutting off of that. We graft it onto a hardy rootstock, and we get this really intense silver-colored blue. That's actually aluminum that's floating out. That's what creates that color on your spruce, on your bluer kind of plants. That's what's called as peanut aluminum, and it actually coats it. Actually, if you just take this, you could rub this color right off just by rubbing your thumb on it. It'll turn green. It's just an aluminum coating. That's what's causing that silver, that blue. So if you plant it and it's really bright colored, a couple of years later, you go, oh, why is it more green now? It just doesn't have the luster that I remember. That's why. You can actually give, in addition to the food, start with food, they make aluminum sulfate. We're into gardening 301 now. We're pretty deep into this. This is the additive you can put onto, they mainly say use it for hydrangeas, gardenias, that's more East Coast thinking. Here, we get the most benefit on our spruce trees, our junipers, with that real bright blue color to it, aluminum sulfate. Usually once a year, either in the fall or the spring feeding, not every time you fertilize, just fall or the spring, and you will have intensely, like your spruce tree will glow in the dark. Your neighbors are going to go, it's just green. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Yours is going to be like, wow. That Ken over there at Water, he's pretty smart. Also, every year, I'll send you this handout, how to fertilize. There's 4 times a year what to do. In the spring of the year, I put the all-purpose plant food down, and I put soil sulfur. This is straight sulfur. So sulfur actually makes things more acidic. So when you're when you're watching HGTV or reading Fine Garden magazine, they're going to start coming out with, oh, you need to put lime on the garden, lime sweetens the soil, lime. Like the lime fairy is out there or something. Don't ever do that to your gardens or you will kill them. Lime raises the pH. If you take your natural pH and you raise it even more, you will literally kill things. You always want to do the opposite. And if you hear that you promote it, you want to put sulfur. Sulfur does the opposite. It lowers, makes things more acidic. So your evergreens love acid. So we put 5% sulfur in our natural food, in our all-purpose food. And then in addition, I just sprinkle this out there once a year in the spring. It just makes everything, the fragrance on your roses will be better, things will be brighter. pH kind of makes things greener, deeper, richer foliage to it. That's pH. Once the pH gets too high, things turn yellow, you stop blooming, your fruits start shriveling, dropping off. Those are all indications, my pH went up too high. I need to correct that. Okay? And that's all I add for nutrients. If you do that, you will have fantastic evergreens. Maybe like over the top. Is there a question at the back? Okay? So if you've got a spruce that's not doing too well, you might bring a sample in just to make sure. Most likely it's a nutrient thing. Most likely. We can correct it with nutrients. Absolutely. With that being said, I just want to make sure, my friends, I want you to bring the sample here. Take a picture. Let's take a look at it so we can maybe get a sample, put it underneath the microscope, see if we have a tip or something weird going on. That's like the 5% it could be. 80% of all problems, especially with evergreens, are water and food. That's the majority of all the problems with that. And then you get into the weird, it's got grubs, you have bark beetle, you have something, that's the really funky stuff. Most plants can be corrected with food and water. Yeah. It could be. One thing that's going to happen after this next storm, so people have been watering they came off that hot spot, they upped their watering. Now we've had some afternoon rains. Now we're gonna get dumped on. We're gonna get some of this rain. It's gonna pump up for the next week. It's gonna be some serious moisture. And so I predict my customers coming in with over-watering issues on their evergreens. It'll be yellowing at the base, towards the middle of the tree, just because they're still watering like it's 100 degrees out. Plus with some natural rain, So we've doubled down. So it should maybe be adjusting no more than once a week for your evergreens right now. You might be able to turn it off a click. And I've not turned my irrigation off. I want to keep it on. So I'm actually trying to rehydrate my soil because it was bone dry for 6 weeks or so. The ground is bone dry. And meant on life support called my drip system. I'm going to keep that on while nature kind of helps me rehydrate, push it water, pretty hardier plant. Right now, plants are rooting really fast. So I can encourage them to chase that water a little bit deeper. I'll have a stronger plants. I think we're all done. Okay, other questions? You okay? Yeah.
I kind of glad. I heard, this, like the beginning of July, because we have monsoon that feeds them. But we had no monsoon this year, so we plant trees. But
Right. So everything's a month late this year. So everything shifted. It was cold, well in the spring. The heat, it was really nice through June. Usually June is super hot. Well, July was super hot. Then the rains finally came in July, August. Now we're in the monsoon. So everything just a month delayed this year. I don't know why. Just the spring is the spring season. It just shifts, and you never know. What the book says, the best time to plant trees and shrubs, especially evergreens, is the fall. Fall is for planting. You've heard this for decades. What I find is it's a good time to plant. The best time I've had the most success with my own gardens when the first rains start to show up. And because the soil's so warm and things are rooting so fast, it's a really good time to plant. So these bigger, let's say aspens, big sycamores, or fruit trees, or the most popular time by far, spring. I'm bored. I don't want to cook any more cookies or some tea. I want to be outside in a garden. That's the most popular. The book says the best time is fall. Yep. Anything else?
My question was,
Yeah.
the best time to plant one of these blue spruce.
Right now would be ideal.
Okay. And
Absolutely.
what is this
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. I brought that at the last second. This is the funky one. This means you're an artist.
Yes.
See, this is either you either love this or you hate this. And we'll end with this. Okay. This is a weeping atlas cedar. So cedars grow really well at this altitude. They really adapt well. There's no real bugs get on it. It's great. It puts on this real strong leader. You can actually train this to go wrap around the porch. You can train it to go wherever you want. Wrap around your wife. It doesn't matter. Up on a trellis, you can do anything you want. You train it to go where you want. Once you let it go, then it gets long tendrils and start moving. Now that this is on your radar, you'll see a few of these in your neighborhood, especially if it's established neighborhood. You'll see some big ones. And so this is a art piece. It's an accent piece meant to highlight, bring your attention to this part of the garden. That's how you use it. It's not really a landscape, right? It could be in a pot. Mainly we put them in the ground. We treat them like we would a spruce or pine or any of the other evergreens. But it's a decorative, ornamental type of plant. It's an art piece. Either hate it, going, what the heck is wrong with that? Or you go, that is super cool. I can't believe it. Where'd they go? You're the super cool guy.
About that.
I have a very tall, weeping redwood in my backyard. It's got to be 3 stories tall. It's one of those I tried it out to see if it would grow. Here's redwoods. The tallest tree on the courthouse square, it's on the back side, trunk on it like this, is a redwood. Like the coastal, it's a redwood. It towers at least 30 feet above all the elms and everything else. You don't really see that unless you're in the buildings at the above. Wow, what is that tall tree? It's a redwood. Some of these things, I've got one that's like that, and it's a weeping. It goes straight, only gets this big around. It's 3 stories tall, and it kind of has this weepy, kind of flowy look. It's very funky looking, but it's behind the pond as an accent. So you kind of look at the pond, you look at this, kind of all ties it together. It's very good. All the neighbors come over, they come over for a glass of wine or something, and go, what the heck is that? Why is it so cool, or hideous, or neat? Or what is that? You've got to ask, because you can't look away. Weeping atlas cedar, very much in the same vein. With that, I will hang out as long as you want. I'll answer questions. we'll just go. I'll let the folks online go. And I know those seats are getting hard. I'll let you clap real quick. I'm dancing for the stars. Next weekend, I'll try to get a link out to folks. Let people, they're gonna stream it on Saturday. So if you want to see all the community leaders, like I don't dance, but they partner you with a professional dancer, so I don't make a fool of myself and others. So they kind of make sure I keep, and I don't know my dance yet. I kind of still glitchy, so but I got 5 days.
He'll pull it together.
So, I just need to run through it like 30 times and I'll just have it. So